second is, and I'm always a couple seconds off, but usually I know because it shows up here. Come on. Am I live? Yes, I am. There we go. Welcome, everyone, to day 25 of Thriving in the Face of Cancer. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and every day for the next, only 6 more days now, I will be talking to top doctors, other healthcare professionals, as well as people who have survived cancer and people that help people survive cancer, who will be giving you insights on how you too can thrive even in the face of cancer. My guest today is Jackie Herigodt. She is the Director of Partnerships and Engagement of Imerman Angels, and she is making sure that no one who has cancer ever has to go through it alone. Please welcome her to the show. How are you? Nice to meet you face to face. We've talked on the phone, but now I see what you look like.
Yes, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for, all this help of getting the awareness out there about Imerman Angels. That's our biggest problem, is not enough people know about us.
Well, I'm hoping everybody knows about you, Jackie, after this show, because what I think is
Not
unique.
me, about Imerman.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I feel like you're the representative right now. So if they find this video and find you, they'll find out about this wonderful organization. But if you don't mind, I'll just share from my perspective what it is and what it's done for me. So there's a lot of wonderful organizations specifically dedicated to lung cancer, and I've had them on the show, and I'm having more of them, like Go To Lung Cancer, and they find a buddy for people with lung cancer. But what's so nice about your organization is you do something similar, finding, you could call it a buddy or a mentor, somebody that's gone through that experience with your kind of cancer, but you do it for all cancers, not just lung cancer. And I know that even though I'm focusing on lung a little bit, because that's what I have, there's a lot of other cancers and a lot of people that are suffering and going through it alone because they don't know about Imerman Angels and how relatively easy it is to be matched up with a buddy.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's right. I guess we're done here. No, I'm just
No, no, we're not, because I want to know about you and how you about
teasing.
this work and how the organization started. So you can tell people how they get a buddy, because I mean, I can't remember who even told me about your organization. It must have been a social worker. I bet you it was a social worker.
Yeah, that's very common for us, actually. Our healthcare teams are amazing at getting people to register with us because they see the importance of the psychosocial support. So, always so grateful to the social workers and obviously connecting us so that we could get you connected to a mentor. So,
Yeah.
I did happen to prepare some
Oh,
slides
I
if you
love
would
slides because I love a
like.
picture's worth 1,000 words. So I love it. I just think this is fabulous, and people need to know this is absolutely free. There is no cost whatsoever to the patient with cancer to be connected. And if you're somebody, think about this, guys. It's time to pay it back. If you are somebody that has survived cancer, why not sign up with Imerman Angels and be that buddy or the mentor to the next person that has your diagnosis that feels alone and scared, like maybe you did when you were first diagnosed? Because one day that's what I want to be, is the mentor instead of
We
the
look forward
mentee.
to that. Yes, I can't wait. We will make that happen. You tell us when you're ready.
So let me get through treatment, then I'll be ready.
All right. Well, I think you'll appreciate this picture too, because obviously, with your background and cooking, I always like to show this picture because it is an analogy that many people totally understand. They're going to ask when they hear about a new restaurant to someone that's already been there, how was the food? Right? Was it expensive? How did I get there? Where do I park? How was the service? And always my favorite, most important question is, how was the dessert? So, yeah, when you have something new that comes your way, oftentimes people will ask somebody that knows a little bit more because they've already been there. So, of course, when somebody gets diagnosed with cancer, they too will have questions and they'll want to talk to somebody who's been there. So, you may have questions like, I know that you've had, AJ, is like, what's chemo going to feel like when it hits my veins? What will I feel like? Will I be able to go to work after cancer or while I'm going through cancer? What will happen after all these treatments? What will be the new me? How will this all impact my life long term? And also caregivers, right? Caregivers also are in this journey where they have many questions. Maybe they're wondering, how can they tell their kids about their loved one's cancer? Or, um, if they have to take their loved one to cancer and balance their life, how are they going to do all of this? How can they be the best caregiver and take care of themselves? Additionally, we help previvors. So previvors are people that are predisposed to receive a cancer diagnosis. And oftentimes they've already seen their loved ones go through cancer and they want to know, well, should I get these prophylactic preventative procedures before I might get diagnosed, or shouldn't I? And so there's just so many questions. And, people are going through this alone. And as I said, our biggest issue is not enough people know about us. So we know that people are feeling this loneliness, and it just doesn't make any sense. Why should people not have these conversations and share? So I'm here to tell you about Imerman Angels. So Imerman Angels does provide these one-on-one personal connections from somebody who's been there. Whether you're fighting it, surviving, thriving, previvor, caregivers, anyone that has been impacted by this awful disease can get connected to someone who's been there. We envision a world where cancer is not a solitary experience. Why am I here to talk to you about Imerman Angels? Well, back in 2012 is when I started with Imerman Angels. And previous to that, I had already lost my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncle, my aunt, and even my mom to cancer. So all I knew was that cancer kept taking people away from me. And I needed something that could help me with that experience. I knew that I didn't have the brain to find a cure for cancer. I knew I definitely didn't have the pocketbook to fund a cure for cancer. But I 100% knew that I had the empathy, heart, and experience to get people connected and help support them so they weren't going through cancer alone. And Imerman Angels really allowed me to turn my pain into power, because I became what AJ mentioned earlier, a mentor angel. So a mentor angel is someone that is like a cancer confidant, somebody that can share their story, shed some light, comfort, and understanding because they've been there. They want to help others learn something new. They want to make sure that they are not going through this experience alone. Now, a lot of people want to know, like, how can I be a mentor? I just, am this normal person, but really, when you go through these experiences, I think you learn way more than you ever thought you'd ever need to, right? And so why not help somebody go through this so that they don't feel like they're the only one? I will say that a lot of people have said, well, how in the world do you train on something like that? And again, it's really going down that road and that path. You learn so many things. But in addition to that, what Imerman Angels does is we give you a Mentor Angel guidebook that has tips and tricks and really resources. And then we also give you a Mentor Angel training video. And in that, there's tutorials of what to do and how to maneuver these conversations. And you have to pass quizzes in order to actually get certified. So the fun part is, which I'm waiting for you to get to after your treatments, is that you can actually go through this training and get certified and print out a certificate and frame it over your fireplace and show it off to all of your friends. So, because it really is like a promotion, and we really want people to know that at this point, when you become a mentor, you can look forward a little bit more and throw that life raft back and really help others behind you. Now, Imerman Angels is going into its 19th year. So it started from a gentleman named Johnny Imerman. He is a two-time testicular cancer survivor. When he got diagnosed, he was only 26. And he didn't know anybody that had been diagnosed with cancer. And he had a bazillion friends and family. They were always around him and they were always telling him it was going to be okay, which is nice to hear. He wasn't alone physically, but emotionally, he was. You see, because it's kind of like if somebody wonders about a new restaurant, you ask somebody, you're like, you hear from them, they're like, oh, yeah, go there. It's great. Order this. It's not expensive. This is what you should wear. And this is where you should park and order that and all that. And then you're like, oh, wow. Thank you for telling me all this awesome information. When's the last time you were there? And they're like, uh, never. So while they're trying to be helpful, the information just isn't as valuable. So it's really important that they can talk to somebody who can really provide that understanding and empathetic ear. So Emmerman's been around, like I said, 19 years. And as AJ said, we have served over 146 cancer types. We're around the world in 123 countries. And we have over 15,000 mentor angels, almost 16. And what that means is they've gone through these experiences, whether they are the survivor, the caregiver, the previvor, and they feel like they can give back at this time. They feel like their experience and knowledge dealing and navigating all of the emotions and the logistics of cancer, right? All have led them to a point where they can add and comfort other people. And so they've been so generous with their time and they volunteer and they go ahead and become mentors. Now, we've also connected 42, or actually over 42,000 people. So these are people looking for support to a mentor. So 42 times 2. It's a lot of people. So I'm very proud of that. And we have partnerships all over the place to really try to make sure that once somebody gets connected, they can get navigated to another resource outside of what we do to make sure that they get holistic support and resources that they might need. Now, how does somebody get to us? Super easy. You just go to the website here. It's imermanangels.org and you'll register. What's nice is now you can actually schedule an appointment with one of our cancer support specialists, and we can then take it from there after we talk to you and figure out what your priorities are and how you're feeling about things and what you might want to get this mentor to have experience in, and y'all can take it from there because we introduce you and there you go. So you decide, is it going to be one or two conversations? Is it going to be a conversation through treatment? Is it going to be a lifelong friend? So what I haven't mentioned yet is the update to why I love Imerman Angels so much. So in 2019, my sister was diagnosed with stage 4 breast. And it was one of the scariest times of my life. My sister's like my best friend. And I was really terrified. But what I can say is that I had the comfort of knowing where it was going to turn next. Like I had no questions about what I needed to do. I needed to get somebody that had also been a caregiver to their sister going through stage 4 breast cancer. And I knew that because my sister right away wanted to do cold capping. And if you're not familiar with cold capping, it's a process where you put a cap on and you wear it through the chemo treatments, and it actually allows you to keep your hair. Now, sounds super easy, put a cap on and you're done. It is definitely not easy. And so my niece and I both did a lot of research and looked online and watched YouTube videos and all of these things. But there was elements of the process that I knew were missing. And so getting connected to a mentor who had already done cold capping, that was a game changer. The mentor that I had, she actually told me, which I had not seen anywhere, to get knee pads for my knees because I was going to actually be on the ground with dry ice and really pushing that gel throughout that cap to make sure you thoroughly cover your loved one's hair. And she told me I was going to be very emotional. And, just the things that the mentor said were so valuable to me. And I appreciated that so very much. Um, and I'm thinking about like the process right now. And so to have that mentorship was invaluable. But then what happens next is during one of my breaks of cold capping, I actually got a call from my dermatologist to let me know that I had skin cancer. So as if we already didn't have enough cancer going on, right? But I kid you not, my comment was, I don't have time for this. And as you can imagine, the doctor was not too happy about that response, but that is what I said. And so, again, the relief of knowing that I could turn to a mentor angel and talk to them about the procedures that I knew I was going to have. I had a mentor myself and asked, her what was I to expect from, the Mohs surgery and skin grafting and how was I going to feel and all of that. So my point is that no matter what cancer type, no matter your age, no matter your situation, Imerman Angels exists to provide you that mentor because there's other people out there that are going through this and they really gain too from having someone that they can help go through this. So finally, I just want to show on this slide that we do have a phone number here too, because not everybody likes the web or has access to a computer. And so we're trying to make sure that everybody has access to a mentor or to become a mentor. Like AJ said, please, if you're sitting here and you're watching and you've gone through any cancer experience, please come to us and register. We always need more mentors. So the phone number here is listed and you can always give us a call. So back to that restaurant analogy, I'm going to tell you that when we did our surveys, we found that 97% of the people say that they would refer Imerman Angels, which to me is a really good sign, I think. And, I always say, like, you wouldn't refer a bad restaurant, would you? So here are some of our partners that we work with. And what that means is they trust us to handle their peer-to-peer connections. So instead of recreating the wheel, they just turned to Imerman Angels and said, hey, we have a community that is very interested in having a mentor or becoming a mentor. And they go ahead and send them to us while they provide their service that they already are excellent at. And so we will then refer people back to them if it's something that makes sense that they support. So it's really a holistic way of treating people so they can get more care and more resources that they need. Here's some additional resources that we have on our website. One of the things that is highly downloaded is our grief toolkit. And I think that everybody will understand, like, grief is not just about losing a loved one. It's about losing something. And this grief toolkit addresses some of the processes that you may go through or need to go through to help support you through that. And so, just highly recommend checking that out, no matter where you are in the cancer journey, because cancer is hard to deal with, and your life may not necessarily turn out the way you thought it was going to, but it's just something different to deal with. And so the grief toolkit can really help with that. And then we have additional resources on our website that I would love for people to definitely use. Our service is completely free, as AJ mentioned. And we have so many resources that I feel like have just not been tapped enough. So Here's one of our events that we've had historically, and I just list it here because I want people to understand how diverse we are in our resources that we offer on our community events. So we had a amazing caregiver named Allison Applebaum, who actually is a world-renowned now specialist in caregiving. She opened a caregiving center at MSK and then now is at Mount Sinai, and she's phenomenal. And she talked about all the lessons she learned as a caregiver, but also like as her being a therapist. So it was really interesting. And these events are free and we give them out quarterly. Another one that was really well attended too was genetics and cancer, and what does genetics mean to cancer? Why should people care about it? And what's the difference between hereditary genes and biomarkers? So a lot of people were very interested in that. And I can tell you that all of these videos are still in our library. So if you do have an interest in these two topics specifically and way more, please go to our website and check that out. We do have our next event that will be coming up. Unfortunately, I don't have a date yet, but it'll be on our website. But it's all about like, what is psychosocial support? Why should I be paying attention to that word, those words? How is it important to me? What difference does it make? So we'll have specialists talking about that topic as well. So this final slide is just really to say thank you, A. Recognize that you should not be going through cancer alone, and giving you an opportunity to see our contact information so you can reach out. So, but that's it. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. This was wonderful. So I've been posting, there's lots of links in what's called the show notes under the YouTube video if you click the more. But people watching on Instagram, they unfortunately don't see it, so they'll have to jump over to YouTube to see it. But I'm on your website right now, and I see where it says request a mentor, become a mentor. But where did they go to look at the videos that you mentioned that we could still watch, or to even be on
Yeah.
your mailing list so that we're notified of the future event that you mentioned?
So down here at the bottom, there's a resource link. So you would go to ImmermanAngels.org and then
Oh,
you can go over.
resources. Okay,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
perfect.
exactly. And so in that library, there's a ton of different events and topics. And then also below that, there are resources as well. And then if you keep scrolling down, there's even fun music that you can listen to.
I see that. So I'm going to actually make that another clickable link to make it easier for people to specifically find those because they look fabulous. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep. So I've been texting a friend of mine during your presentation because I really want her to get an angel. And she goes, "Well, why do I need an angel? I don't have anxiety." They're not anxiety angels specifically. I mean, just because that's not exactly the reason we get them, you know. I mean, there could be one reason, but I feel like everybody needs an angel. I don't know how anybody goes through this alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've been through it without having a mentor there. You know, I was super young with my first experience with cancer, was with my grandmother, 13 years old. And at that point, nobody knew anybody that was going through cancer, you know, and for me to be so young and trying to figure out how to navigate my emotions around that was really, really challenging. And, you know, now I have these conversations with people and they totally understand what it was like, you know, because they also went through it alone. And always, I've never heard anybody go, yeah, I'm glad I was alone going through that. That's something I haven't heard. What I always hear is, I wish I would have had somebody to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you mentioned that when you were 13, you didn't know anybody that was going through cancer. And I would venture to say that there is nobody here today that doesn't know at least one person that's going through cancer.
True, the times have changed. More survivors now than ever before, which I'm grateful for. I know that's like hard to understand sometimes, but I mean, it's way better than it was before where we just didn't have survivors, right? They just didn't exist. And I mean, that's kind of how it was for me when I first got to Imerman. I was shocked to meet people that had actually survived, and so grateful to see their energy and their heart and their enthusiasm about life. So just seeing other survivors is beneficial. Yeah.
Absolutely, it is, especially if it, with your particular type of cancer. Is there a particular type of cancer that you see most often requested a mentor for, or is it just, I mean, maybe it depends on which cancers maybe are more common?
Yeah, we definitely do see more breast cancer, both as requesting support and, getting a mentor for sure. And, to the point we were just making earlier, the beautiful thing of being at Imerman for these over 12 years now and hearing all these different stories is um, to to have people have those conversations back in 2012, to hear and know that when they were diagnosed with stage 4, to my heart, I was worried about them, right? I was like, this may be the last time I have a conversation with this person. But now we have people that are living years and years and years after their diagnosis. Like I went specifically because I knew I was going to be talking to you and, with your diagnosis of lung. And I have somebody that is a 29-year survivor of lung cancer.
You need to please hook me up and they need to be on the show because I've got a 17-year one next week and I thought that was remarkable. I had a 12-year
Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah.
I mean, that was just so great to be able to see that. And I was like, I can't wait to tell her. So,
I want to meet this person. That's that to me, that's the only thing that gives me hope is to know that others went through this journey before me and are surviving and thriving. It sounds like you have a very strong family history of cancer because so
unfortunately,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There we did, fast forward, when my sister got diagnosed, we did actually go get genetic testing. And at that time, ironically, it turned out that I had nothing that appeared to be connected, but my sister had what was called a VUS, a variant of insignificance. And so, just with what I just told you, with everybody in the family, we're like, yeah, this can't be good, but what does it mean? And so 2019, fast forward to 2022, actually, the genetic counselor contacted us and said, well, remember that VUS? That's actually Lynch syndrome. So there is a genetic mutation that has led to all these people getting connected and diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
people need to realize what a strong genetic link and what might, because
Mhm.
people think on my channel, well, if you just eat, kale, that's not always the case.
Mhm.
So people need to know about this genetic component of cancer. So Linda, who's watching live, hi Linda, is asking, is this information about Imerman Angels available at oncology offices, infusion or chemotherapy centers? And if not, I'm asking this part. If not, why not?
Then I'm gonna just double back and be like, "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh." I don't know why. I really want to know why too, because all of our brochures are available to anyone. So if you're watching and you've been at the office that you attend and you don't see them, please contact us. We will ship those brochures over for free. There's no cost. And definitely want to make sure that, our name and mission is out there everywhere because, as I said, we're in 123 countries. So, yes, please. And also, you can always connect to me. I'm on the website. You can check out that email address that I put up earlier and email us and connect me directly to your social worker so I can have a conversation with them about how can we work together more.
I'm going to check my emails, but I'm almost some positive it was my social worker that told me about Imerman Angels
That's
or a
awesome.
social worker. So yeah, social workers are like also angels because they're the only ones that seem to know what's going on.
Oh my gosh, they're so on the pulse, right?
They are like the best. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, until I connected with one, it was like I was like it was like being in a corn maze. And when I actually went to a corn maze once, I did not get out of the corn maze. I had to ask for help and they, So, you said 123 countries, over 40,000 matches. Do you connect like caregivers? Because I'm thinking I've been asking my husband to go to a support group, and he's kind of an introvert. But like, can a caregiver or a spouse get an angel?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, anybody going through this experience, again, if they're fighting it or if they've survived it or if they're a caregiver or a previvor, can get connected. So, caregivers, even if they've lost their loved one, because that's a whole other element, right? They can get connected too or become a mentor. So, example, I am a caregiver mentor because of my experience with going through lung cancer with my mom. So, um, specifically, I have been matched to people that also are giving care to their mom. While my mom has passed, I have full experience of the entire journey from diagnosis to, her not being here anymore. And so I had a, very unique perspective in a way because, some people will say, oh yeah, I know such and such whose aunt or uncle got diagnosed. It's very far removed, but this is very intricate, personal to me, right? And I saw the entire experience. And so I've been able to help other people where their moms have been diagnosed and talk about the emotions, talk about the logistics, talk about the wake and funeral arrangements, talk about the financials after, talk about the hardest part is like holidays and experience of like anniversaries that your loved one is no longer with you to be able to celebrate. So absolutely all parts of the caregiver journey, we actually really encourage people to come our way and get connected because some people like this analogy, some people are not thrilled, but it reminds me of like when you go on the airplane and they tell you to grab that mask, that air mask, and put it on yourself first, and then help your loved one. Because if you are not strong enough, if your cup is not full, like you cannot help support the person going through it well enough. And so I strongly recommend that your husband, your spouse, your partners, your relatives, get a caregiver mentor because it's so emotional for everybody. And so it's important that everybody has this support.
Absolutely. And I've done over 4,000 videos and I never say give me a like or give me a thumbs up. But for this video, I'm asking everybody who's watching now, share this video. You know somebody that has cancer or that has had cancer. There's no cost involved in getting an angel or being an angel, but people need to know about this organization. So I'm really asking everyone to please share.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and the thing too that's really interesting is that, we're dealing with obviously the disease of cancer, but as you know, it doesn't just stop with the disease. This impacts your whole life, right? And so we connect people like one of my favorite stories is we were able to connect a doctor, actually, diagnosed with breast cancer, it happened to be, and she had already passed her diagnosis and her treatments, and she was good to go after that. But she came to us because her and her husband were interested in family building. They did not know how the treatments impacted her fertility, but they wanted to talk to people who had gone through these experiences. And so we were able to connect her to somebody that was estrogen positive and did IVF and had a successful birth afterwards. We were able to connect her to somebody who did a surrogacy. We were able to connect her to somebody who adopted. And then also somebody who just was not able to have kids. And so she had four mentors, but really, these people provided her a full view of the impact after cancer and how she could move forward. So we get very down in the weeds with our matches.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just, and you must have a lot of either volunteers or employees to be able to manage this kind of, work that you have to do.
Well, I'll say we're small and mighty. We're not very big, actually, right now. We have about 10 employees, and not all of them work on the matching parks. You can imagine there's a lot of other operational things that need to be taken care of. But those people that are working on the matches and the calls, I do it still sometimes. You know, you, you care about these people on the other line. You hear their stories and they're just so committed to make sure that we do the right connections. And it's not just like, oh, you have cancer and you have cancer, you guys should talk. It's definitely not that. It's getting into the nitty-gritty of what's happening and what's impacting these people most. And the doctors, while I love them and I really want them to cure all cancers, right? They can't do this work, right? The social workers, as you mentioned, I also love them, right? They're giving those navigational resources and helping support that. But there is nothing like talking to somebody who really gets it because they've experienced it. I met my mentor angel without even knowing I was going to before I met or before I knew about Imerman Angels at the dog park. I went to the dog park and I just started talking to a woman there, and she had asked me what I was doing for a living at that time. And actually, I didn't have a job because I just moved back home, which is Chicago, from California. And she was like, oh, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, these are my experiences. And we just started talking, and lo and behold, she started sharing her experience. She also lost her mom to lung cancer. She lost her mom the same year I did. She did not live in the same state as her mom did, which is what I experienced. She had to fly back and forth, which is what I experienced. And they were both diagnosed around the same age and same exact diagnosis. And it was something that I didn't even know that I needed. And it was years after. But I had finally felt like someone truly understood what I was going through because she had. But I didn't know it was missing until that very moment. This imaginary wall just came tumbling to the ground. And it was the first time that I had felt a little bit of healing about my experience, because it's hard to lose somebody to cancer. And to have someone that really truly knew all the emotions was magical. And so that's what Imerman Angels can do.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. A question from one of the viewers,
Sure.
if if you're an organization that runs on volunteer help, how do you go about getting the people to volunteer?
Well, depending on what type of volunteering, right? There's so many different levels that keeps our organization going. But as mentors, I would say that I think when people are done with their experience, they look for what's next, right? They're trying to figure out how am I here? How did I get through this experience? What can I do to help other people? And the beautiful thing about being a mentor is that you do it from your own home, right? So you get on the phone and you talk to people, you text them, you email. You don't have to go anywhere to have this experience. You can be in video chats. It's really virtual, and you don't have to study. You don't have to spend money. This is just conversations from the heart and your brain of what has happened to you and sharing. Now, I will say, which we always like to emphasize, is we don't give medical advice. Like I just told you, I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV. We are here talking about the emotional psychosocial support. And that's super heavy that not everybody can address. And if you have the positive mindset, that can change your whole trajectory.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm noticing that obviously I don't know every survivor, but the ones I've been interviewing, that the mental attitude has been like kind of almost their saving grace and what enabled them to get through it.
For sure. Yeah. And like imagine, like you said, like learning that there's a 29-year-old survivor or 29-year survivor of lung cancer, like just having that light, to look forward to can provide so much hope. We have a 22-year glioblastoma survivor. I don't know if you're familiar with that diagnosis.
That's usually a death sentence, right?
Yeah. And so it's brain cancer, and she's a walking miracle and so much inspiration, and I love her. She actually had to, when they did the craniotomy to remove the tumor, they put a metal plate in, and she told me, Jackie, you're not going to believe this, but they had to replace the metal plate for the first time ever because people don't live that long. And it usually is fine. But in my situation, it started to like rust, like they needed to replace it. And so she's just, again, these stories, these positive stories need to get out there to know that, people do exist that live these long lives after a diagnosis.
Yep, absolutely. There's a question, is there a screening process for cancer support volunteers? Like maybe
Absolutely.
no criminal record
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, people come our way and they think they're to mentor. But what we discover through our screening is that maybe, just maybe, it might be a better idea for them to get matched first, to get a mentor to see the experience and to heal a little bit more. So we encourage everybody to come in and, come as you are and see where you are, and we will figure out what's the best placement for you.
And can people get more than one angel or maybe like just I don't know, talk to more than one person, for example, or is it like a one and done?
Yeah, no, it keeps going. So we have one gentleman, he was testicular cancer, and he got a mentor, went through his experience, him and his wife. Then, the doctor says, you're Ned, no evidence of disease, so happy for you guys. And then the wife is like, oh, cool. Okay, well, now to start trying to have a baby. And the doctor's like, hold on, wait a minute. You should wait a little bit longer, like just wait a year or so. And she was like, out. She left her husband. She was like, I'm not waiting another minute. I want to have a kid. That's it. My time is going. I need to have a baby. And so she left him and he called us back and he said, obviously was so upset and said, I lost my wife now. Cancer has taken so much, and even my wife, she's like the love of my life. What am I going to do? And so we said, well, we're going to get you connected. So I contacted another mentor who was returning from his second honeymoon because he also had his wife leave him during his treatment. And now, years later, was getting remarried to his love of his life. So we connected these two men that understood what it was like to lose all that to cancer, even their love, right? But we know that, if they really loved him, they wouldn't have left him like that. So, yeah, there's magical stories that we create every single day. We call it the IA magic. It has a term because we know that people are out there. It's just always finding us. That's the biggest issue is, even though Johnny and Imerman Angels were nominated CNN Heroes in 2012. He was nominated as CNN Hero. We went worldwide on CNN and got 600 cases overnight, and that's what really launched us into this global status. And that was our biggest marketing to date. We have not been able to advertise on a larger scale since then.
Well, I'm hoping that like if every single person watching this video, and usually my videos depend, they get at least a couple thousand views, but if they all shared, that could make a big difference. And it doesn't cost you anything to
Sure.
share a video, guys. Nothing, just 2 seconds
Sure.
of your time. That's what I'm hoping for this
Absolutely.
wonderful, wonderful organization. So yeah, do people is there I was just thinking like imagine like a you see these like on movies like when they show like armed forces but like you see like a map of the world with like little pins like wouldn't that be kind of cool if like you could just kind of like especially because if you had somebody there might be somebody in my own neighborhood that I could
Yeah.
ostensibly be a mentor to or be have as my angel. But if people don't get connected in some way, we might never know.
Yeah. No,
Data,
that's so
yeah.
true. What was that?
But like if there was a big database, so you could put in your area, your diagnose,
And see where the angels are.
yeah, kind of what you're doing, but make it even could make it even easier for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people do. It's funny that you say that too, because while a lot of people think that it's just like they want to talk to somebody that's super local to them, I would say more of the times they don't. They want to talk to somebody who's actually not around them because they haven't told. their family, they haven't told their employers, they haven't told people at all that they've gone through this or they're going through this cancer experience because they don't want to be treated differently. Um, so they want to connect with someone who may be on the other side of the country or, just not local to them. So we'll also, abide by that request too. But most of the time, we do try to get people at least in their time zones connected so they have an easier time, to call or video or text, what have you.
Do you find more of your matches once they're made? Do they communicate text, phone, email? Because I can't stand email personally. I get too many.
Yeah,
But
I know it's so
I
impersonal.
like to talk to the person, or and then once I talk to them, then we can text. That's very easy.
Yeah, I would say definitely phone is the primary. Text is like kind of the logistical option. Like, hey, I'm gonna be off work soon. Do you have time for a call tonight? Like that kind of thing. But what I'm hearing more of is like this, like it was nice to talk to you on the phone and I could hear your voice, but to see your lovely face
Yeah.
and have that opportunity to connect on the next level, like this is to me, a little bit more personal. I can't fly to California today, although I'd like to because it's really cold in Chicago right now.
Oh my God, it's cold. Where I live in California, it's cold. You said you used to live in California. What part?
Yeah. Yeah. Southern. So I was by Temecula area.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice and warm there. Oh, I love that area. Hey,
Yeah.
there's an interesting comment from a live viewer. I should put my glasses on. It looks like, oh, well, I'll just go like this. MC
Oh,
Tap Tap. What a cute name. Have you showcased your services on TikTok? They are wondering.
we have not. We do have a TikTok. Well, this is interesting too. We do have a TikTok channel, I guess you call it, where we actually do targeted outreach. So this shows how far and deep we go to get a mentor. So even if they're not in our database, we will literally go to no end to find somebody to match with the requests that we are getting. So we'll go on TikTok, we'll go on Instagram, we'll go on Facebook, and we will use hashtags and we will find a mentor for people. So if you ever get a message from us, it's legit asking you to become a mentor because we have somebody in need for that specific scenario or treatment or what have you. So we do not have a TikTok because we don't have the people power behind it. It takes a lot of work. And so we're working on that. I would love to have one of those. So
Mm.
if I have volunteers.
Can you make matches in Australia?
Yes, hands down. I've actually done a podcast like this with an organization in Australia. It was midnight Chicago, and I was broadcasting to a room full of people. It was great in Australia. So, yes, please.
Nice. Are more of the people that asked to volunteer just curious men or women, or is it an equal?
Oh, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to guess it's women because men don't seem to like need or want support. So,
Yes, you are 100% correct. Yeah, we're about 70% now women, because women like to chat and women like to investigate, and men always feel like they need to be stoic. But I always say to ask for help shows how strong you are. And
uh,
so I encourage men listening to reach out.
well, there is a man watching that knows you. Tommy says Jackie is incredible. I've been a volunteer, mentor, and cancer survivor with Imerman Angels since 2013. Congratulations on all counts, Tommy.
That's
Right.
awesome.
What is the youngest person that's ever asked to have a match or be a mentor?
Oh my gosh, this is so cute. So we had a 6 year old that was going through this with her mom and her brother. Her brother was 13, and her mom had gotten matched. She was ovarian cancer, and her mom had gotten matched for her ovarian conversations, being a mom, and all of that. So when she graduated and became a mentor later, we had talked and I had asked her about her children. And I said, would you be interested in allowing your kids to actually become mentors? And she's like, oh my goodness, that would be amazing. So let's make it happen. So I talked to the daughter and the son at the same time. They were on different phone lines back in the day, phone lines. Um, and ask them about their experience. And the most fun part was that the daughter, again, like 6 years old, she's like, yeah, it was really hard when my mom was going through cancer because I had to do all the dishes. And the mom was in the room and she's like, what? You told me, she's talking to the boy, you told me doing the dishes.
Oh my God,
So
that's
the truth came
adorable.
out. But
That
yeah, we've had really young children because also that same little girl, she had to help shave her mom's head, and it's it's so hard to experience, watching your loved one be ill. So definitely have had really younger caregivers. I would say as far as the mentors, and this is just going off memory, I think we had an 8-year-old that went through leukemia. And so we don't have a ton of younger kids because this is a lot, right? So we want to make sure we're setting up safe spaces. And so we're very careful with that. So we always try to assess and make sure that they're ready in the right spot. Yeah, for that.
that's very adorable. But knowing that if a kid has got the right abilities to do this, that it's still an option. And what about the eldest? Who was the oldest person that's ever
Oh,
asked for a match or to be a match?
we have a mentor that's 102. I just looked this up. So 102 right now. So
Amazing.
yeah, and we have a couple right now that they're in their 80s looking to get connected to another couple that's in their 80s. So the husband's the person going through the diagnosis, and the wife's there supporting. So they want another couple in the 80s going through cancer. So you're never too young, you're never too old. Flipping cancer doesn't stop with age, right? Or location. So we want to make sure everybody gets it if they need the support.
Have you ever had a cancer so rare that it was hard to find a match?
Yes. Oh, yes, for sure. And as I said, we will step in nothing. I have literally, this is funny. It wasn't a cancer, it was a treatment to the cancer. It was a specific implant that somebody had requested. And we didn't have it in our database, and we tried on social media, like just posting, like, does anybody know about this particular implant? Nothing, nothing, nothing. I call the manufacturer of the company of this particular implant. They said they didn't know of anybody, they didn't have anybody. That's not what they do. So I ended up going on YouTube and stalking. And I found somebody, her first and last name. I went on Facebook. I messaged her at midnight. She became a mentor at 12:35 a.m. She registered, and the next day we actually got that person matched. So, yes, we always go to the extreme to try to find people. But like that's why these things are so important. And so I just want to say thank you again. I'll probably say it another 12 times, but like it's such a broad audience, right? And people go through these experiences. And I just was at an amazing conference last week and we were talking to people. And this one woman, she had thyroid cancer and kidney cancer. And she said she always felt like an imposter because she never had chemo. She never had to do radiation for her treatments. She only had surgery. And that meant for so many people in that room, like so much because they always also felt that way, like this imposter, right? And that's the thing about our organization, because some organizations too, they time it. They're like, you can't do this until you're a year out of treatment. That's not where we are. Some organizations are like, you can only do it if you have X cancer or if you're X age or what have you. For us, it's not that way. It's any experience, the caregivers, the previvers, like we want to help all the people that are going through this. And we don't do anything else but this peer-to-peer support because we want the specialists in their fields to do that. I would love to get worked out of a job. So when you're talking to the doctors, please make them cure all the cancers
Yeah.
because I would love that. But that's not the reality
I
right
mean,
now.
it just touches my heart that organizations like this exist, and I really want more people to know about this. So again, I'm asking everyone to please share. It costs you nothing, and you know somebody with cancer or that had cancer that can be an angel, or maybe that needs an angel.
Yeah. And the cool thing too, AJ, that people should know, because I know a lot of people are like, ooh, I don't have time to volunteer, right? Um, the beauty of how we match is we're so specific and we get so in the weeds, as I told you, that we only reach out when there is someone that is you. They are the same age, they have, the same hormone receptors, they have the same genetics, they have the same diagnosis, subtypes, treatments, experience, all of that. We really try to fine tune it so it is a perfect match. And I know some people are like, oh, you should create an app. You can't get the personality, you can't get all the experiences through an app. You just can't. And so our conversations are one-on-one personal conversations because we really try to get to the nitty gritty of what's happening with that person and understand the entire person, not just their diagnosis.
Mhm. Somebody's saying they only have a landline. I mean, they could still be I mean, there are people that can still call you on the phone and you can call them on the phone.
That's right. I haven't surveyed our 102-year-old mentor on this one, but I bet they also have a landline.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're texting or going on TikTok or anything. So
Yep. Via Gomez is saying Imerman Angels is amazing, grateful for their support, and love seeing this organization get the attention and recognition it deserves. All you need is like one celebrity to either, I mean, that's all it
oh,
takes, for
that's you.
somehow.
You're the
Yeah,
celebrity. Yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean,
But hopefully more people. I hope you get some people contacting you to be angels or that need angels after the show. A lot of times you'll see more action in the replays, so don't worry if they don't all call at once. Operators are standing by.
that's right, exactly. Well, I
Oh,
know you were on Johnny Carson, right?
I was.
So you are a celebrity. I saw
Yeah,
that.
that's funny. Oh my. Well, I just love your passion and your compassion. You can obviously tell you're doing this because you love it and you care, and your heart is so obvious to people. So thank you for what you do, and thank you to the entire organization.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor. And again, like thank you for thinking of our mission being this important because I fully believe it is, but I'm glad that you do too. And I hope that people watching understand its importance and help get the awareness out there, like you said, and
Yep.
join us.
Yeah, well, I have
Yeah,
one more question for you, Jackie. All the
please.
people in Thriving in the Face of Cancer Month are getting this, and you're especially suited to answer it because you've had so many loved ones with cancer and you've had cancer yourself, which
Yeah.
is what message of hope would you share with someone currently facing a cancer diagnosis?
Hmm. Um, Keep looking up. And, again, I mean, I know it won't surprise you, but talk to somebody who's been there. They can help you. They can help share those tips and tricks that maybe you didn't think of. They'll tell you, like, oh, I wish somebody would have told me, you know, and, be your own advocate. Get the resources you need and don't stop at no. Keep going. I feel like
And
Nemo.
yeah,
Keep swimming.
and know that with organizations like Imerman Angels, you never have to face cancer alone.
That's right. That was good.
Oh,
I
thank
didn't
you.
pay you to do that.
No, I mean, no, I don't. Of course, we do this. This is our both of our passion projects. Well, thank you so much, Jackie.
Oh, my honor for sure. Appreciate you and send you well wishes.
Thank you. And thanks all of you for watching day 25 of Thriving in the Face of Cancer. Jackie and I want you all to know that wherever you are in your cancer journey, as long as you're still breathing, we believe there's still hope and that you too can thrive even in the face of cancer. Please tune in tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time for day 28 of Thriving in the Face of Cancer with Crocs in the Kitchen. Both Brian and Jessica Croc were diagnosed with cancer, and so you're going to get